Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
This past weekend we had WWE Day 1, the first pay-per-view of the year, and 6 matches on the main show, 1 match on the pre-show. Let's quickly get through that pre-show match. Sheamus and Ridge Holland were going up against Cesaro and Ricochet, but in reality it was kind of a handicap match by the end of it.
Yeah, it is. It really is what it is. Poor Ricochet. I wish he could grow some character in WWE because he's such an amazing wrestler. He did such good stuff when he was in Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
But something is just preventing him from coming out with some sort of character. Maybe it was the mask the whole time. I don't know, but yeah, Ricochet got his balls handed to him, and because Cesaro walked off.
And we also had Ridge Holland getting injured in the match as well.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it was just a bit of a doomed match.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's happening going forward for any of these 4 men, really.
Yeah, poor Ridge Holland. That's the second time he's been getting a push, and he's gotten hurt.
Luckily, it seems as though this one is just a broken nose, and he might be able to, put the nose shield on and continue.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see, I guess, whether that is the case.
Yeah, it's definitely not a blown ACL like it was last time.
Yeah, that is a game over push, killer.
Yeah, that's a game over for 9 months.
And then let's jump on into the main show. We'll start with Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss, just because there isn't a whole lot to it.
Yeah, it's exactly what you expected today. An absolute murder of Madcap by your boy Drew.
He lasted a little bit longer than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 9 minutes match. Considering Drew's a 2-time WWE champion, you would have expected a 3-minute match. So,
yeah.
Yay, Madcap!
Congrats, man. You lasted longer than we expected you to. It's kind of a hard one, I guess, because presumably this is still just continuing down the track of Corbin McIntyre. And this is sort of, I guess, the stopgap, whether those 2 men just end up in the Rumble or if they're on a quick little match before the Rumble. I could see them doing double duty at our next pay-per-view. I could see them entering the match as well as having a short little one-on-one that will probably go for about 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yep, which was exactly the length of the pre-show match. Go figure.
Yeah, they probably told you have 10 minutes, go have fun. And then, before the song, let's talk about the 2 tag team title matches. First up, SmackDown, the Usos taking on the New Day. We did wonder, was this going to be the beginning of the fall for the Bloodline? But it seems as though the Usos are going to hold on to those blue straps for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I wonder how much other events may have played into this match.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's possible they could have lost the titles, but Roman testing positive might have changed everything. Yeah,
it feels like a lot of plans shifted, massively. Obviously, when we get to the main event, the biggest plan shift of all will come up and be pretty apparent, but, you're not even arguably your top star in your company testing positive for COVID-19, at least announcing it, the day of kind of deal, is going to lead to some rapid running around and rewriting. And so I could definitely see them defaulting back to, just let the Usos hold on to it for now.
Yeah. So yeah, it is something interesting to see. Maybe the New Day wasn't the right team. Again, the tag team divisions are so thin, it is kind of hard to pick out a team that could conquer the Usos if it's not the New Day. But maybe, who knows? Maybe Cesaro and Ricochet will become a tag team, and they'll take on the Usos and win. Because why not? Let's throw anything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, that's kind of the deal right now, right? Just biffing stuff and and seeing what comes away from it. That's kind of how we got Randy Orton and Riddle together, to be fair. So sometimes you hit gold and sometimes you hit poop. You don't really know what you're doing when you're slamming tag teams together randomly like we do way too often. Like, it, as you say, the Usos are such a formidable, strong opponent in the SmackDown tag team division, and it really felt like if anybody was going to take the belts off them, it was going to be the New Day. And now you do have to look around and go, you know, how are these guys going to lose their belts? They're seemingly unstoppable if they can take down their strongest adversary.
Yeah. I will say it was second longest match of the night.
And a good one.
Yeah. It's always a good one with the New Day and the Usos. There's a great deal of respect between the four men. So they're always going to go out and they're always going to have a good match. If you see those four men in a match, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who else is involved. If you see Usos and you see New Day, you know you're in for a good time.
And if we jump over to the red belts, we got RK Bro, current champions for Raw, taking on the Street Profits, and kind of feels the same way here. Obviously, the Street Profits not being their strongest adversaries, but who is going to step up and stop RK Bro?
Honestly, they were the strongest adversary in the tag team division from Raw.
That's saying something.
Yeah, and the Street Profits are a fantastic team. And if they had beaten RK Bro, I wouldn't have been surprised because they are that good. So it is another question. Who's going to take down and eventually end up splitting Orton and Riddle? Because you know the second they lose those titles and they finish the rematches, they're not going to have a reason to be a team anymore, and they're going to split.
No, Randy Orton's not going to be a bad man. He's going to be nice.
Actually, I think I would flip the script and have Riddle turn on Orton.
They can still be friends. Why do they have to hate each other?
It's more about elevating Riddle for me. And so the question is, who do we have that we can have take down Riddle and Orton if it wasn't the Street Profits?
Yeah, obviously there's other names in both the Raw and SmackDown divisions, but these four teams that we've kind of just talked about are like the most established, top of the tier kind of guys.
Yeah.
And so
I hate to do this, but I think when we get to the main event, I might have an idea for the tag team division. But I can't go over it now because it kind of spoils part of the main event.
I understand what you're going with, though. I'm catching your drift for sure. But yeah, the tag team divisions, I think, suffer a lot from only one or two teams really being built up. Like, if you're looking overall at both brands, the tag teams that you have are the current champs, the New Day somehow, they're always built up, and whoever is facing the champs at the time. Like, I have no doubt that the Street Profits will start fading off again now, and then whoever the next challenger is, whether it's who you're thinking from the main event or not, will become built up, and they'll become the second most important team in the division. There's not really, side tag team feuds. There's not other tag teams waiting in the wings at the moment who you're like, oh, if Street Profits don't get it, these guys can get it. I'm not sitting here going, oh, Ray and Dominic are going to get it back, or this team here is going to get it back. It really is the champions and their current contenders. And that's all really that the division has. And that suffers because when we come to a match like this, obviously they face off, and if the champ retains, the champ retains, and we all sit here shrugging, wondering what's next.
Yeah, it's part of the pain of all the releases is because there were so many potential tag teams that they could have put together with all those releases that could have helped solve this issue.
Well, thank you for that lovely segue that I'm sure you provided on purpose. As probably, I think it's 2 hours before us recording this, I think it started. There's been another wave of releases coming through at the moment. So we'll get back to day one on the other side of the song. And there's a lot of names, which I'll start to run through, but this is at time of recording. So at 12:19 p.m. on Thursday, New Zealand time, because it's still evolving. And there's a whole bunch of people who are still being added to this list. Like, I just refreshed now and there was another name added to the list. But it looks like WWE are cleaning house out of the Performance Center. Their official statement issued to Fightful was, with the continued evolution of NXT 2.0, we've decided to part ways with some of the staff in our Performance Center. We thank them for their many contributions throughout the years and wish them the best. And if we're looking at the list of people who have been removed from that, we've got Road Dogg, Ace Steel, Ryan Katz, Ranjan Singh, Scott Armstrong, George Carroll, Sarah Cummins. If we're looking at competitors, we've got Danny Burch, Timothy Thatcher, Suzuki, who was with Diamond Mine. But most importantly, I guess the biggest shock to everybody when it came out a couple hours ago, William Regal, mainstay of NXT and mainstay of the Performance Center, being parted ways with the WWE.
Yeah. It was definitely a surprise when I heard about it, but it kind of also makes sense in a way, because on NXT last night we did see what was essentially the official end of the original NXT with the change of the title from Ciampa to Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
So it kind of does make sense to go in a different direction with the GM. It is sad because William Regal is such a legend in the business. But I could see maybe them bringing him back in a few months. It's just being a for laurel and not an actual straight up release. Maybe having him work in the background, but not actually on television.
Yeah, that's the tough part here, because if we were looking at it purely from, as you say, a competitor contract, basically, right? Or a performer contract. Sure. William Regal departing from his authority role on NXT, as amazing as he has been in that role, we can understand. But I feel like what they've done here is they've released some of their best trainers from the Performance Center, including William Regal. And as you say, maybe he'll come back as a trainer only, but I got a bad feeling that this isn't going to leave a great taste in anyone's mouth to try and bring him back on. And if he is truly in free agency and able to be around and go wherever he goes, then whichever company picks up this guy, not to be a competitor, but purely to be a backstage talent, is really going to benefit from that, really. Like, the other names, like Scott Armstrong's on there, Timothy Thatcher, great competitor, probably maybe go back to Europe. Road Dogg seemed like he was employed because he was a mate of Triple H's, but he's been ripped off it. Maybe reunited with Billy Gunn, we'll wait and see, but Regal really is, at the moment, that big name on there that I feel like any company could be alleviated or raised up by having him backstage and just having people sit under that knowledge tree. And that's the song we're going to play this week, in between all of our talking about WWE Day 1. I didn't ask, do you want William Regal's British theme or do you want Real Man's Man?
You know what? For one last Raw, let's do the Man's Man. Because I think he got a kick out of the one time he had it played with Daniel Bryan. So we'll go with that one, just because it's such a fun one.
And that's playing for you now.
He's a man. Such a man.
And you're back with Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh, and now it's time to get back onto WWE Day 1. We've got 3 more matches left to talk about. Let's talk about the singles match, Edge versus The Miz, 20 minutes. Pretty good one between the two, but it was also just a setup match.
Yeah, it was the further storyline. That's kind of been what Edge's matches have been. The first match, he wins, but it just ultimately continues the storyline. And The Miz I can say he had a great match with Edge, with the Legend Edge, and now he gets to work with his wife, and Edge gets to work with his.
Yeah, we all sort of kind of saw it coming when Beth Phoenix had left NXT commentary. Out of seemingly nowhere. I know there was a lot of people whispering around like, oh, she's going to start working as an active competitor again, etc. We don't know if this is a one-off. All I know is that she looked bad freaking a $. when she showed up at day one, and if she wants to go, I'm not holding her back.
Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely, I think, on the verge for a mixed tag match. I could definitely maybe even see Beth having her own like edge moment here, and having her own run with some of the more talented women in the division. I mean, could you imagine Beth versus somebody like Charlotte or Becky?
Yeah.
Especially if we get the rust off and completely knocked off of her, and we get to that point. We could have some amazing matches with a lot of the top talents, including Bianca Belair. I'd love to see a match with Bianca and Beth Phoenix.
It'd be good to see. And all we know in the short term is that mixed tag match has been booked for the Royal Rumble. We're like 1 day removed from day one. We already have 3 matches, 5 if you count the Rumbles, booked in on that card. And yeah, I personally would be super happy if Beth Phoenix came back as a active competitor, whether she wrestles the Edge schedule or whether she wrestles a full-time schedule. She seems like she can go, and she was always a great talent when we had her.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely love to see her have a year run with some of the top talents in the women's division. Just to give her like her own retirement tour. Because that's basically what I've been looking at, this whole Edge thing. It's been a retirement tour. It's just been a really long one. And the matches he's given us has been amazing in between his injuries.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm fine with the fact that he didn't win the title because he didn't need it.
Yeah.
And I would be the same way with Beth. I'd love to see the matches between them, but I don't need her to win the title. Just want to see the matches. Yeah. Those would be technically dream matches for me.
And sticking in that women's division right now on Raw, we had a Raw Women's Championship match in the third, pretty much tied for second longest match of the night. Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. My hopes were up. My hopes were high.
You should have kept them in the basement.
I should have. I let them out.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't see. There was she had a Ziggler's chance of winning for me. If we had been able to talk about it as a pre-show thing, I definitely would not have picked Liv Morgan. But yeah, she had a good match. But honestly, I like Liv. I don't think she's hitting with the crowd, and I think that is a major issue. So as much as I'd like to have seen her take down Becky for the shock value, because I said that a couple weeks ago, I'd love to see the shock value. I just don't see. There's something missing. There's something wrong with the picture, and Liv is not working with people that aren't already her fans.
Well, we'll have to see what direction WWE end up going, because next week on Raw, we'll figure out who Becky Lynch's opponent is going to be. It is going to be one of Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, or Doudrop. They're going to have a triple threat to figure out who faces Lynch next.
It's going to be all three.
Fatal four-way?
Yeah, because it's either going to be all three, or it'll be both Liv and Bianca. Because my guess is that I think Becky gets involved in the match. Which can either cause the match to be completely thrown out, thus resulting in the fatal four-way, or she gets involved and it results in a double pin, with Liv and Bianca both scoring a pinfall on Doudrop. And that results in a draw, which results in a triple threat.
So many triple threats.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens in that Raw Women's division, because, to be fair, we never could have predicted what is about to happen in the Raw Men's World Championship division. To rewind, you guys are going to get a little bit of a monologue from me now. Coming into this pay-per-view, it was meant to be Big E defending against Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and Bobby Lashley. And then it was meant to be Brock Lesnar taking on Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. We had this whole storyline with Paul Heyman and everything with Roman. Unfortunately, just before WWE Day 1, Roman Reigns comes comes out as being COVID positive, can't compete at the event. The match is cancelled, leaving Brock Lesnar open in the air with no match. They end up placing him into that WWE Championship match, making it a fatal 5-way, and then he ultimately ends up pinning Big E, because for some reason Brock Lesnar just can't stand the New Day, and rips the title off of Big E, and sets himself up for his next feud pretty much straight away as well.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think he had a good title run. And now that he's won it, he doesn't need anything to justify any future title matches. He's a former WWE champion, so he won't need any real thing like a Rumble or another briefcase to put him back up there if they want to bring him back up. As I alluded earlier, my idea for a tag team is main event guys thrown together because they have nothing else to do. That freaking Rollins, that's officially his name now.
Yep.
And Kevin Owens, and have them take the titles off of RK Bro.
Thrown together team beating thrown together team.
Yep. And just so they can be insufferable as a tag team together. Because again, we need bodies in the tag team division, and if you're not going to do anything with the two main event talents, you might as well put them together and do something with them in the tag team division. So,
I can see them doing very similar stuff. Like, everybody loved the Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens stuff. I feel like that's very similar energies here, with Seth Rollins being a little more over the top and crazy, working off of the more straight guy of Kevin Owens. I feel like that dynamic already worked once, so it can work again.
Yeah, Seth's worked pretty well with just about anybody he's teamed with to win a tag titles. He's what, a 5-time tag team champion or something like that?
It's pretty long.
So, yeah, I can definitely see that going. But I think more importantly for this match, we're finally getting it. We're finally getting what we have been wanting since Bobby Lashley returned to the WWE. We're getting big match Bobby versus, and I'm not talking about Rude, versus Brock Lesnar in an actual WWE match.
Big meaty men slapping meat.
Yep. Personally, I would absolutely love it if Lashley was able to take down Brock Lesnar and take the title back, because it would just further cement the fact that Lashley is important. He's he's been a fantastic talent the entire year, and definitely if Roman Reigns didn't exist, as I said, I think on last week's show, Bobby Lashley would have been my pick for the superstar of the year, because he had a fantastic year. He won the title at the beginning of the year from Miz, had some fantastic matches with Drew, and then he gave Big E his moment. So yeah, he had a fantastic year. And if he could take down Brock Lesnar, that would just elevate him to another stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It would put him close to Roman. Roman is in a league of his own, and not even beating Brock Lesnar would put Bobby in that league, but it would definitely put him a lot closer than he is now.
Yeah, we obviously set it up at the WWE Day 1 pay-per-view, but then on Raw it would become official as Bobby Lashley was able to win the Fatal 4-Way number 1 contendership match, so it's not even a pipe dream, it is 100% happening at the Royal Rumble, and I don't know, I feel like that is arguably a WrestleMania caliber match that maybe they'll stall the feud out for. I'm not 100% sure on that, otherwise who do you give to Brock Lesnar for WrestleMania?
Well, there is one option if you keep the title on Brock Lesnar. And it's probably not an option you want to hear.
Oh, no.
Title unification at WrestleMania.
You keep throwing this out.
Yeah. Have one of the champions in the Rumble, either Roman or Brock, and they win the Rumble. And then challenge the other champion for the title at WrestleMania to unite them. And that officially ends the brand split.
You keep pitching me title merges. You've pitched me the women's title merging. You've pitched me the tag team titles merging. Maybe, a broken clock will be right twice a day.
Yeah. A lot of my pitches has been because of the shrinking roster.
Yeah.
With all the releases and stuff, they're getting to the point where they can't support 2 divisions in the women's divisions, 2 tag team divisions. And there are a lot of people that are being left motionless because they're not able to support those divisions. If you combine the titles, you combine and you end the brand split, it would allow them to mingle everybody together a little better. So that's why most reason I've been pretty pitching them. But it's like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to do a title unification, this is the perfect storm of circumstances for that to happen. Roman has to pull out of his match, but he'll be back. And you have Brock as the new champion for the WWE division. So if you really want to go that route, you now have an avenue to do it. And it makes sense.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what they do going forward, and we will talk about that as the weeks come on, because for this week we are all out of time. It's been great talking to you.
Maybe.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up, and we'll see you next week.